Hello, I'm Francesco Derchi. It's a digital business strategy course, and we're talking about business model generation. So we are now opening the module 2, Strategy and Disruption Part 2. And in particular, we're going to learn the differences between a business model and a business plan. We will understand the secret for the success of the business model canvas. We learn the principles of the business model canvas and the dynamics and how to apply business model canvas. So we start talking about differences between business model and business plan to land into the most popular, let's say, internationally renowned tool that allows now managers to create fantasies and simulations about different possible business models. So we start by defining business models and business plans because there is great confusion regarding what is one and the second. And oftentimes we observe a lot of confusion in how those gets interpreted. So what is a business model? Business model describes the logic and how an organization creates, distributes, and generates value. This is a definition that allows us to understand that there is a great part of intangible elements, the logic, and then understanding how the organization creates, distributes, and generates value, which gets into some thinking of the most important element of strategy, which is value generation. Then, when it comes to business plan, we talk about a document, simply a document. So it's not a model for describing the logic. This document includes what to do, the timing, the when to do certain initiatives, and the money, the financial part, to put into practice the business model. So somehow the business plan is the tool that we create after having defined the business model, right? So the business plan is complex and technical somehow. It can be complex and technical. It is related to a specific period of time. So ultimately, it's a document that you will want to share with your shareholders or for a pitch. Any stakeholder involved in the organization who would like to see how the organization is about to grow might be interested in reading your business plan. But when it comes to designing new value, hypothesizing the future of the firm, and creating what we call the strategic design, so designing the strategy for the future and modeling new venture, business plan is not the right tool. In fact, we need to talk about the business model because when we look into today's world, the context for today's world, disruption times, new technologies, the emergence of new ideas, the evolution of new potential coming from it, clearly we see that there is so much happening around. And the logic of inventors is that how to create success in the disrupting times. Automatically, we see that the business plan is not adequate. We need to find something that allows us to combine multiple elements that are foundational for the firm, to combine the creation of value with something else. If we look into the market of hospitality, for instance, the business model evolution, it's pretty clear. We see from a traditional logic of hospitality industry, all like capital intensive, with great brands, evolving new firms and new business models at the same time. We see great evolutions. And that's why the great evolution is often led by models that are new, digital-based, inspired from startups and digital companies that have been disrupting parts of the market, which are now becoming of inspiration for great companies to evolve. We will study the case for the Accor group, for instance, in the next weeks. And so back to the point of business model generation, there is, in fact, a new generation of business models that have been present in the market and that we have been observing in the market. And so they have been focus of extensive research by multiple scholars because of that. One of the most paramount work in this space have been published in 2005 from the PFL École Polytechnique de Lausanne, created by this Professor Tucci with a group of other scholars, among which there is Alexander Osterwalder, which 3 years after the dissertation of his thesis created a book and published a book called Business Model Generation, in which he hypothesized the idea that business models can be created from scratch on paper. And so that the idea and the logic of the design of a business model can be theorized and put first in as an exercise at work on paper before becoming real. And so this book, which has been published, like I said, has been great also because of his effectiveness, and his idea that we will now describe became soon one of the most adopted tools for practitioners. So the interesting part that reveals the success of this publication is that it is, first of all, built around academic research, so it's fact-based. It involves the definition of current trends and scenario events, okay? It identifies 9 components for every business model. So the assumption is that every business, no matter that is a corporation or a small enterprise, they are all characterized by 9 components. And all these components are well-defined, well separated one another, and they are studied as a separate block, but also they become object of observation and interaction in a board. So the idea of a business model becomes associated with business building blocks. So the moment these 9 blocks can be remixed and we can work on them as we would work with pieces that can speak and mix, we end up working on a board like the one we have here, the canvas, the business model canvas. Here, all the 9 elements are presented and are put in relation one another. The relation among all of them can be variable according to the new business model can be created. So overall, what do we see? We see a right and a left part of it. And we will describe this in detail later. The work, in fact, can be used, this board and the blocks that are related, to describe existing business and specific environment of a company, to analyze and detail actual business models, to project new ideas and how to innovate from an existing business model, or also to develop new business and future ecosystems. And the secret of this is of the success of this tool and the fact that now it has been used and distributed in institutes very much, starts from the fact that there is a problem of language that has been somehow solved. Business modeling has always been a discussion, a topic, a space for discussion of the board. And accordingly, people that had innovation ideas have been always somehow blinded in their way to implement this. So there was a need for something that could help quick thinking, as quick as the digital world is quick as the space of digital has accelerated things to something complete around the business elements, and a tool that could be at the same time agile and clear. And so for this reason, the business model canvas has been built around visual thinking, so everybody could play around this board. And this, at the same time, while it creates this common language, which is a visual language, it is also complex and systemic. The 9 elements are complex. They should be all understood one another. And it's systemic because the result of a business model is a combination of them. From the match between customer segments and value creation, the rest should all be variably could change and should be variably assessed and eventually changed based on this great foundation at the beginning. Visual languages, like I said, is very important, and it's also creatively stimulating and as an idea of a transformation focus. So this idea of strategic analysis focus makes every person participating in workshop being able to analyze it from a strategic perspective, and this happens most likely in a work group stimulation focus. So then there is 2 parts of the group and 2 parts of the brain that can be put into place: creative and rational intelligence. They are all playing part in it because, like we will see, the board is divided in 2 parts. And of course, being 9 blocks, it allows a complete assess and a critical complete assess. So there is an international standard related to this, based on the fact that the business model canvas has been used and applied in multiple business cases and business schools. It can be integrated also with other strategic tools, like we will see in the future. And there is another very important element. There is a constant revision around it and a constant improvement based on an online thought community that happens to discuss and discover. So like we saw the previous board, the board is divided in two main parts. There is one part that is related to the market focus, which is focused on value and emotions. It matches value proposition, customer segments, together with customer relationship and channels, the way the customer are fulfilled and satisfied, and the product distributed. And then the revenue stream, which is the result of the combination of these elements. And on the other side, we see the value proposition matching with the product and company focus. So how is the company is organized, where the company should invest to make it happen. And it's about logic and effectiveness. And in fact, here in this part, key activities, key resources, and key partners are all matched with the cost structure, because it is about how the company should commit internally to serve the customers. Ultimately, then what is asked by anybody working on it is first to focus on the business idea, understanding what and how to do it, to whom to generate value, like we said. And secondly, to work on the economic feasibility. So the first part of the canvas is really the previous part, where the second part comes along by matching the rationality of the economics behind it. We will have time to practice this in our exercises, but for now, I want to make sure that the learning objectives are being clear. So we learn the differences between business model and business plan. We review the secret for the success of business model canvas, and we learned the principles behind the 9 blocks and the board that we have seen. We also learned the dynamics and how to apply the business model canvas in your practice. Thank you very much for your attention. I look forward to see you in class and to discuss this topic forward.